Okay, hello Tracy. Let's go through your WA3, which most of you have made improvements, and see how we can become even better. Okay, let's start with question 1A. Question 1A is about your sense of place. Alright, so the question asks you to explain, using the figure, explain how media can affect individuals' sense of place. Now, sense of place means meaning, right? So how does it affect their meaning, of the meaning they have of the place, or the memories they have of the place? Okay, so first part is, a lot of you managed to pull information from the figure. Okay, you cannot just copy. If you just copy inaccurate stereotype portrayal, that's an evidence, but you have not shown you interpret it. Okay, because you're just copying, you're not describing the what you see. Okay, so if you describe it, right, you will see that it is a negative portrayal, and you back it up with evidence. All right, negative portrayal promotes fear. Okay, and you back it up with evidence that because they call it slums or what. All right, then that is the one where I give you a mark and I put a D. Okay, D for donkey. Okay, if you go on to explain how it affects that individual sense of place, that will have gotten you a second mark, which I give you at E, as an E. Okay, so if you see E and a tick, it means that I give you for this explanation mark. Okay, so what can it happen? It can weaken a sense of belonging because they don't want to be associated. They may feel upset, okay, or they may have poor impression, or they may get angry. All right, so any idea about, changing the sense of place or any action, you get 1 mark for the effect. Okay, so most of you got 1 mark, either talking about effect only, but didn't take from the figure, or you talk about the figure, didn't talk about the effect. All right, pause and do your correction. Okay, are you done? All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, part B, very well done. You're asked to describe 3 differences. Almost everyone did point by point comparison. Okay, so things like, which one has more facilities, more amenities and stuff like that. Okay, for this assessment, we accept that you copy individual evidence. For example, there's healthcare clinic, but there's no healthcare clinic in precinct 1. Okay, or some of you say that there is a community garden in precinct 2 but not in precinct 1. All right, when you go on to, we want you to try something more difficult. All right, you must learn how to group them into big concepts. Okay, so you might group some of the clinic elder care, supermarket, all these as amenities. Okay, so instead of telling me individual one, you can tell me overall precinct 2 has a larger variety or larger number of amenities and facilities. Okay, this time you didn't write it, we didn't penalize you, but please write it down. Go on to this stage, group the overall. Okay, don't tell me just about clinic, tell me about healthcare facilities. Don't just say elder care, child care, playground, group them as amenities for who. Okay, don't just say hawker center, talk about food amenities. Okay, don't talk about just fitness corner, community garden, basketball court. Talk about communal or recreational facilities. Okay, some of you said that precinct 2 has more flats than precinct 1. It's a bit contentious because you don't know the height, right? Who knows precinct 1, the blocks are much taller than precinct 2. So who knows precinct 1 has even more residential unit than precinct 2. Okay, so we have no way to know how many residential unit, we cannot assume. Some of you say that precinct 2 takes up a larger area or smaller buildings than precinct 1. Okay this time, but let's try to go for the bigger concepts first in the future. Okay, so try to group so with the correction, I want you to group your answers into the bigger concepts, and then write down whatever that's missing, bigger concepts that's missing from your answer. Okay, pause to do your correction, and then unpause when you are done. Okay, are you done? Let's move on. Identify one pair of spatial association shown in figure 1. Okay, so any pair we give you, but please, pair means only between 2 things. So I do not want to see community garden and kindergarten / elder care. It's like pairing with 3 things. How is that a pair? Pair is only 2 things. So either you tell me community garden and kindergarten, or community garden, and elder care. Okay, now next one, explain how it then benefits residents. This is the part where a lot of you are a bit careless. Okay, you are supposed to say how the spatial association benefits the residents, not benefits each other. Some you say spatial association or synergy, how one benefit the other. No, the question asks you how it benefits the residents. Okay, so how are the residents becoming better? All right. Some of you elaborate convenience, say time, short distance, all this is all about convenience. So even if you write different variations of this, it's to us, it's still the same point. Okay, so you're essentially explaining to me when these two are close to each other, what is the good things they bring to the residents. All right, so for example, you can say that when it's located near each other, it can encourage family members to build bonds together. Okay, or you can encourage family members to take their children, encourage them to go there more often because it allows them to play or whatever. Okay, so one benefit and then one further benefit is really 2 marks. Okay, a lot of you just gave one benefit only, but that is not good enough lah. Okay, so the question asks for 2 benefits, right? Now, let me elaborate this a bit further. Okay, so you're supposed to tell me how the association benefit, not individual facility. Yeah. So when you encourage both next to each other, it encourages them to play one another. Okay, so that you can help to supervise. Okay, so because it's nearby, you can supervise the child. All right, so that's why they can do it together. Whereas if it's far away, it's unlikely they will do it together. Okay, next one, where it's nearby, what is the benefit? Conveniently go there and get their groceries and whatnot. Okay, without having to spend time traveling, it's all about convenience. Okay, next one, community garden. So that why is nearby a good thing? You can learn, the children can learn because there's also less time waste on traveling. Okay, and if you pair with elder care, then elder care can do gardening because it's easier. Okay, over the gardening more easily or more conveniently. All right, so you should be explaining the benefit of putting it near, not the benefit of individual facility. Okay, so supermarket, hawker center, you shouldn't tell me what's the benefit of hawker center, or shouldn't tell me the benefit of supermarket. More like when I put together, what's the benefit? So after getting groceries, it's easier for residents to go to hawker center as a place of rest. Okay, so the idea of easier because it's nearby comes in. All right, or people who are working in the supermarket, or rather, it's the question about residents, right? So it'll be the residents working in the supermarket have affordable meal options. This is close to them without them spending time to travel or whatnot. Okay, can. So I give you some time. I'll pause this while you do your corrections. Okay, done. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, next question, describing the data. We must see some grouping lah. So if you just list down every single one, you're not grouping. Okay, so how to group? You can group by fatalities, you can group by elderly, or you can say that overall, there's actually a huge, there's a huge increase for elderly. Elderly's increase more than in general. Okay, so if you quote data and you tell me about these two, 1 mark already, and then you tell me, however, that means it's different from the general, and you give me the data for elderlies, that will be the 2nd mark. Okay, now let you pause to do your correction. Done. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next question, not bad. You're supposed to explain how this feature manage the trends. So most of you can say that it reduces injuries and whatnot. Okay, but you didn't explain properly. All right. So first things first, what does this feature do? A lot of you say longer time means there's longer crossing time. Okay, what's the big deal? The big deal is that there is enough time for them to cross safely. Okay, so some of you put it in different way, like the elderlies who are slower now can complete the crossing before it turn green or turn red, whatever. Can. Okay, now the second part is where it is not well explained. So why is it a big deal that how come this will reduce in traffic incidents? Because if the traffic accident is all about the car go into the pathway, that is still not going to help. Okay, so when they cross safely, what does it lead to? Less likely to be in the way of the vehicles. Okay, so that when the light changes, they are less likely to be hit by the vehicle. So a lot of you didn't talk about what happens, why is it making it better when they can cross. You just jump straight to less accident. You didn't explain how from this step lead to this step. Okay, how this first step, D, lead to this E. So I mark this as D in your paper, and I mark it as E in your paper. Okay, pause to do your corrections. Done. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Next one also okay, but not very well done. First thing, you must use figure 1.5. A lot of you just use generic ideas. I know you studied community resilience, but you didn't talk about the fire extinguisher training, so you cannot get 2 marks. Okay, so you need to ask how developing community resilience can reduce community disaster risk. So most of you did study community resilience. You can tell me, oh, they can take action, they reduce vulnerability, okay, especially about the fire, because you need to use the figure. The elderly know how to do, won't panic, whatever, very good, okay? If you've done that, I give you this D and a tick, all right? But a lot of you forgot to explain. They just jump straight, therefore there's less disaster risk, okay? Firstly, what is disaster risk? Remember I told you disaster risk means high chance of high DID. D for death, injuries, and last D stands for damage. Okay, so instead of just jumping straight to this, you need to unpack. It reduces the chance of death, injuries, and damage. Okay, so this is just another way of phrasing it. Okay, so this is the second part that many of you missed out. All right, I'll let you pause and do your corrections. Okay, last part. This one, either you know or don't know. Okay, the center, see this one, point out this slides. The center is your core. Okay, and then this one clearly has 2 layers, so it must be the uppermost plus crust. So together it is the lithosphere. Okay, so if I give you 1 tick and 1 cross, I tell you overall is 0, because you need both to be correct. All right, some of you say crust. I don't understand why. It's 2 very clear layers. It cannot be just the top crust. Okay, next day one difference, okay, but I must use comparative words. So we just say things like C is thin, A is thick, okay, not good enough. You must compare. So like C is thinner, or you say C is cold, C is cool, A is hot, not good enough. You must say C is cooler than A, or A is hotter than C. Okay, so I'll pause to do the correction. I will not unpause this. You will end the video here. After you're done your corrections, please do the reflection in your Google Classroom. Okay? And please remember to submit the script back to your teacher, because I need your script to key in the marks. Okay? I will see you next lesson.